Hey gamers, welcome to a unique style DSP video. I want to share my thoughts on the Metal Gear Solid Delta playthrough thus far because it is a weird playthrough. He has played this game like two other times. He's played this originally way back when he played the Redemption run of MGS3 in 2018, and now we're doing Delta, which he hyped up initially. Then, when people were saying that the game performs poorly, he suddenly brings up, guys, Konami is making money off of Kojima's work, guys. Don't we hate Konami? And it's like you are supporting Konami with Silent Hill 2 remake and all this other stuff you're buying from them. Like, why is this any different? To be completely honest, right? Uh, I've talked about that in my two previous videos on the subject. So he starts the game and he does clown mode. He's just talking over the intro and all this shit that's just very obnoxious to sit through. And he tells people, "Well, I've already seen the story, so I don't need to. I can skip the dialogue. I don't need to like think about it. Whatever." But he still sits there to listen to the radio and all this other stuff with this game. But then he says, like either in the daily rep or the next day, that well, I'm letting the story play out so that people who've never seen the game can experience the story, which made me wonder immediately if the idea is that you want to show off the story. Why are we talking over the story in obnoxious ways? Like I'm not simply saying that he can't talk over the cutscenes like at all or whatever. But when you're like doing clown mode, you're doing the childish like hands on your nose, this motion, and you're just like trying to drive attention away from the story. You're kind of not letting people experience the story. And then he complains about it. Now, Metal Gear has a reputation of being a story driven, narrative focused game, right? And he acts as if this is something brand new that nobody knew. Nobody knew Metal Gear was a story-driven game. Like, oh, I played Metal Gear Acid. That was my introduction to Metal Gear. And even then, I knew Metal Gear is a very story-driven franchise. Like, I knew it had, like, cutscenes and all this stuff. And I was fine with that because I was interested to see what the story was. Like, this is kind of why I started to care about stories in a lot of ways. And DSP is sitting there and he's just clowning around, and it's like, if you're a new viewer and you're trying to like watch the playthrough and all this stuff, is it really enjoyable to see a dude like try to drive your attention away from the story? And not only is he trying to drive you away with uh from being loud, he's doing like childish antics. Like this is stuff that like parents do for their children. Like a toddler, like, oh, a toddler is crying, do like funny faces and they'll clap. Like that's the kind of entertainment DSP does, which again is funny when you remember DSP says that he has a adult audience. So an adult audience loves being like talked to as if they're like a toddler. I guess so. I guess so. I mean, I'm not the successful streamer here. Uh, so there's that aspect of it. It's like if you want people to experience the story, why talk over it, right? And then he says like, you know, he complains that the intro is a 2 hour story introduction and all this other thing. You don't get to the game. I like which wouldn't be bad, right? If he just got off of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and it's like, okay, well he did criticize about that game about this, but then he played Paper Mario. He the beginning of that game, he played Mafia, and Mafia he defended the intro being a 2 hour story driven focus or whatever. And yet Metal Gear is back to this is where's the game? And it's like you've played this game before and you're criticizing the game for having a story. Now, of course, he says like, he elaborates a little bit more to say, well, the issue is that these are a little bit drawn out. Why not just get to the game immediately? And it's like, okay, but you never criticized this in the Redemption run. I don't know if he criticized this in the original run, but he criticized it seemingly out of nowhere. And again, he knew Kojima was a story driven guy. He's played Death Stranding 1 and 2, which are far more like aggressive with its storytelling and cutscene use. Like MGS3, as far as the trilogy is concerned, excluding MGS4 and afterwards, it is relatively tame in terms of cutscene length. Like it seems a little bit more like Kojima like reacted to the criticism. Like the only long cutscene is the beginning and the ending, which is fine because the beginning of the game having like a long cutscene gets you immersed into the world, and to what's at stake and this and that. Like it's to drive the point home that it's a stealth game and all that. And he never complained about this before, and suddenly it's a big deal, and it's like, okay, well, if this is a problem, then why don't you skip it? Well, people didn't want to experience the story. Okay, well, then why are you being annoying about this? Like at that point, you can just say, well, if you want to see the story, watch the redemption run. I just want to get to the gameplay or whatever the fuck and skip and pick and choose. I mean, for me personally, for Delta, I listen to all the radio codecs because, I haven't played MGS3 in so long. But usually when I replay these games, I just listen to the radios that I want to listen to that I know I like, and skip the ones that I think are just kind of like I don't need to listen to this. Uh, and then just watch the cutscenes I want to watch. Like that's basically what I do when I replay these games. Uh, DSP has replayed this game like two other times, and it's like, okay, if you've already experienced the story, then why not just do whatever? If that's such a problem, uh, but then let's get to the gameplay. Let's get to the main reason why I wanted to do this video, because I feel like a lot of people are looking at this and saying that he's purposely playing bad to avoid getting clipped, which uh that could go one or two ways, to be honest, and it's not in any way a win for DSP, because on one hand it's like, okay, he's not trying and he's purposely playing bad. Okay, so he's disrespecting the game and not even like trying. That's kind of shitty because you're not like playing the game at that point. You're just kind of like loading up a game and just kind of like mashing your face into the controller at that point. Uh, Secondly, he's still not playing that good anyway. Like he didn't know where the map was. Like I saw him start fighting the end, and he's like, "Where's the map? It's not in my items." And it took him like a while to learn where the map was. And it's like, you don't read the screen. Like it's everything is like laid out. So there's that. He doesn't know how CQC works, let alone what is different about it in Delta, which isn't a lot. The only thing they ever changed is they added more animations, which is basically like when you come up to them, depending on where you point the stick, it changes how Snake throws the enemy to the ground. But DSP thinks that the old way was archaic because you would have to press circle to like hold circle and then mash circle to like knock him out. That's how you did it. You do that in MGS3 Delta as well by going up to an enemy, pressing R2, holding R2, then mash R2 to knock them out. It's the same way. And then, but you also throw them and all this stuff. Literally, when you hold them, they give you a whole button guide as to what each button does to and what to do. So there's really no excuse for being confused, and it's not even that archaic. Like MGS3 works the same way, the original and the remake. It just in the system. Like you go up to an enemy, you just press circle and he just throws him to the ground. Same thing in this game. It's just the animation is a little bit different. That's it. Uh he also doesn't know how to hold people up. Like he tried with the end, and I didn't see this part, but he didn't understand how to hold up the end, which I don't know. You play this game long enough, you're gonna learn this system, right? I just don't understand how he's this confused playing this game. I remember he went to the cutscene where you could kill the end early. He didn't know that, and by the time after the cutscene, he's like, "I can kill the end here. How do I do that?" And it's like, at this point, you're already late. Like you can't do. You have to reload at that point. And then when I was listening to that, I was like, you haven't played MGS3 in so long. Just fight the end. Like just do the boss fight. Like if I haven't played this game in a while and I wasn't planning on replaying it, I would have fought the end anyway. Since I replay the fuck out of MGS3, I was like, I could just do whatever because I could always do it in the next one that I'm gonna do eventually. But he's never gonna replay this game. Like, it's I've said this in the previous videos. It's weird that he replays like Dark Souls, Heavy Rain, all these other games multiple times. Yet this game, it's like he's terrified of replaying it. And when he's playing this, it's like I don't understand. Like, he's played Dark Souls and Metal Gear stumps him. Like I don't understand. Like I'd argue that if anyone's gonna do a this is how you don't play, maybe just compare instead of doing like a pure this is how you don't play, just compare each run to Delta and see and just see how he played differently. Because I feel my assumption is when all is said and done, he had more brain activity in the first two runs of MGS3 than this run. This run, by the way, in Delta is the easiest. Delta is the easiest game, and like this remake kind of like nerfs the challenge a lot. And this dude is like not like he's going through boss fights like fine, like expected, but these other segments he's just like struggling. He's struggling to get up. He's struggling to sneak around. Like it really is like he's not even trying to sneak around. Like why are you playing a stealth game and playing it like this, right? So I just wonder if you compare all these runs, would Delta seem the most brain dead run? Because it's weird. It's weird. He doesn't know how the CQC system works, which is like I don't know how you could be confused with that. The game literally explains a lot of the mechanics that he was confused on. Like he didn't know he had the scientist outfit. The game literally tells you here's a scientist outfit. Doesn't even think of going to the camouflage screen. Like a lot of this stuff, it's like he just seems he overthinks the smallest of things. It's really really weird. So I think this is gonna be a weird run, and I think it's just not gonna be an honest run either because he kept asking his audience, "Where do I go?" Like he was confused. Like he right before the end, you can go into this little cabin area. He goes there thinking that's where the waypoint is, and he's like, "Why is what's this doing here? What's the point of this?" He's not doing the characters. He's not doing the Gakkos, which is whatever. But it's like doesn't even think like, oh, maybe this is for like for that, right? Whatever. It's just these weird things that just amount to like such weird statements. He doesn't really respect the stealth in the game. Like it's a stealth game. Like why don't you at least try? Uh he he keeps complaining about uh oh my god. He keeps complaining about the models in the game, the Easter eggs. And it's like, dude, this is just an Easter egg. Like it's just they're just free to find. It's not like anything deep or anything. But said nothing about the little magazines. I don't think he noticed the magazines in the game are based on like video game magazines talking about MGS3. So that's another thing. Uh it's just weird. He says that this game also is weird. Like the story is weird and all this stuff, and it's like Metal Gear Solid 3, like MGS 1 and 3 are the most like grounded, tame stories in the series. Like you could give MGS 3 and MGS 1 to like anyone and they'll be able to understand the game and enjoy it. Like MGS 2 is very weird. Like that is actually a weird game because it does stuff that breaks the fourth wall directly. Like there's like the fish and mail segment. There's the Colonel Campbell Codex by the end of the game. Um, you have all these weird things in MGS2 that's like, okay, this is kind of weird. But MGS3 and MGS1 are very grounded in comparison, especially compared to MGS4. But it's like these are not weird games. And then he thinks it's weird that this game has a 007 like theme. That's not that different or random. Like it's in the 60s. James Bond was big at the time. Like it kind of makes sense to kind of make that association, especially about a game that's about sneaking around and like espionage, things that 007 does. Like it's the same thing. Like that's the whole point. And he's like, this is weird. Kojima just likes to put this stuff in his games, and it's like this was never in any of the other games. It's really only into MGS3 that like was directly acknowledging 007. The other games like MGS2, at least from what I remember, that that one at least like reference a little bit more like Escape from New York or whatever. But other than that, like MGS3 is like the most direct response to like the connection between Snake and 007. I mean, they even have like a whole codec call about 007. Uh, when he saves the game, now this is funny. Like I feel this is a holdover from MGS2 because everyone like hated MGS2's like save character Rose because he would save it, then she'd be like, "Do you know what April 30th is?" And then it would just be that like over and over. So people are like, "Oh my god, just shut the fuck up." Uh, I feel that MGS3's, I'm gonna say, is universally loved. I don't think there's a single person that's like, "Oh my god!" Like they were just like, "Oh, what movie are we gonna talk about today, boys?" Like it's more interesting to see what movie is gonna be talked about. And DSP saves, and he sits through that. And he's like, oh god, she's talking about movies, and it's like, this is like a fun little like Easter egg quirk in the radio conversation, and he's like rolling his eyes to the point where it's like, okay, then just skip it. Like, there's times where I just skip these codec calls too. It's whatever. I've heard them all, so it's like, is it really worth sitting through? But he sits there and is just like moaning about it, and it's like, you don't have to do this, dude. Uh, it's just this weird like fear of disrespecting the game, but then at the same time he does these things that can be seen as that. So I don't understand the point. Like it just seems like he's not giving the game a chance at all in how he plays, and you just kind of feel that way with how he's playing in the game. So that is at least my current thoughts on his Delta playthrough. I'll probably do another one by the end. Hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one. Uh, Bye.